This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain.
MIP
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make It Plain.
Get woke.
Where already tens of thousands of people have come on to join this action today. We are launching a season of nonviolent moral direct action and civil disobedience to demand 4 things by August the 6th, the 56th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. We're launching a season of nonviolent moral direct action and civil disobedience to demand 4 things by August the 6th, the 56th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act. Number 1, end the filibuster. Number 2, pass all provisions of the bill, and we call it the John Lewis bill because it's the bill he wrote, the For the People Act.
That's right.
Fully restore the 1965 Voting Rights Act and expand it.
Yes.
And number 4, raise the federal minimum wage to $15.
Yes.
Supporting this call for a season of National Moral Mondays is a growing list that includes the Poor People's Campaign's 42 state coordinating committees, SEIU, the National Council of Churches, the Institute for Policy Studies, the Rainbow Push Coalition, the Transformative Justice Network, Forward Justice, Indivisible, the Sunrise Movement, the National Welfare Rights Union, Black Voters Matter, the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference, the Red Letter Christians, and several major religious denominations and more, many of which you will hear from today. Through this season of weekly nonviolent moral direct actions, we will continue to escalate our public pressure for change. We invite partners and all people who believe in justice and democracy to join us in this critical moment in history to save the soul and the body of this democracy and this nation. Not only must we have in this nation infrastructure from the bottom up, we must also protect the fundamental infrastructure of our democracy from a non-constitutional, sinful filibuster and an all-out attack on voting rights and economic justice for poor and low-income people.
That's right.
And so today, on July 12th, we launched from D.C. a mass Moral Monday call-in write-in day. A massive national call-in and write-in into every U.S. Senator's office and the White House is happening right now to fulfill the final steps toward a season of nonviolent direct action and civil disobedience. And that final step is always make sure your demands are clearly known and the power structure is given an opportunity to change and address them. And we're doing this way because this is not just a black issue.
That's right.
This is a moral, constitutional, and economic democracy issue.
Yes.
We are in urgent conversation with the President, Biden's White House, to meet as soon as possible with a delegation of this coalition of impacted poor and low wealth people, young people, black people, white people, Latino, Asian, Native actives, religious, denominational, and moral leaders, voting rights lawyers, labor leaders, that look like every race and look like America within the next 10 days. We asked the president, after he speaks tomorrow in Philadelphia, go to Texas, do a major speech, and meet with the activists and the moral leaders of all races and colors and creed on the ground. Then go to Arizona, go to West Virginia, and make the case for the ending of the filibuster to pass these 3 things, the For the People Act, the expansion of the Voting Rights Act, and the minimum wage of $15. And then go further, Mr. President, and those others in your party, do an emergency speech before the Congress, before the 56th anniversary of the signing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, because this is no ordinary moment. This is why we must escalate and we must engage. Now, July 19th, next Monday, will be a Women's Moral Monday March on Washington.
That's right.
It will happen on the anniversary of the Women's Convention at Seneca Falls, Nonviolent Direct Action in D.C., led by women from all over the country to challenge the White House and the Senate. On July 26th, it will be Moral Monday actions in states across the nation.
Yes.
Every senator in at least 45 states of every party, each party, will get a visit from a delegation.
That's right.
That delegation will ask them, do you believe in it? Will you end the filibuster?
That's right.
Not just for this, but end it, period. Will you pass the 40 People's Act with all of its provision? Will you extend and expand the Voting Rights Act? Will you pass $15 an hour living wage? If they say yes, that delegation will come out and talk to the media and say it. If they say no, they'll sit down and sit in, because these are the times in which we live.
All right.
And then on August the 2nd, Moral Monday in D.C., faith leaders will join with poor and low-wage workers and engage in nonviolent moral direct action focused on the United States Senate and led by a mass number of clergy and religious leaders with poor and low-wage workers. We will support the July 17th candlelight vigil in support of the remembrance of John Lewis as a call to action. We are going to stand tomorrow with care workers fighting for $15 an hour and for proper treatment. And on tomorrow, we are going to head to Texas, Austin, Texas, at the invitation of the Texas PPC, Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes and others, to join the resistance and join the movement that's going on in Texas.
Yes.
We are saying to the nation that moral dissent and clarity demands actions, not just emails, not just backdoor meetings, not just texts, but actions. And we hope that other groups will either join this effort or launch their own. Because in this moment, we don't have to be under the same banner, but we need to be in the same battle.
Yes.
Our democracy is at stake. Let us be clear, as a friend of mine noted, the Electoral College, Joe Biden didn't win it by 7 million votes.
That's right.
He won it by 45,000 cumulative votes in Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona. The filibuster in the Senate and the states' rights and local control voting system that where Republicans have introduced 389 voter suppression bills and enacted 28 laws in 17 states. These tactics, Barbara, that we are seeing have their roots in the states' rights movement that began before the Civil War.
That's right.
To block white voters from passing anti-slavery legislation. And it was maintained after slavery. The Confederates militarized it. The KKK added violence. Plessy legalized it. It was picked up and continued by Strom Thurmond and Barry Goldwater in 1964. It was continued by George Wallace. It was made a Republican Southern strategy by Kevin Phillips and Lee Atwater. It was picked up by Ronald Reagan, continued by Pat Buchanan, George Bush, and Donald Trump just charismatized it and pushed it with media savvy and invested in it billions of dollars and the backing of greedy elites and Mitch McConnell. This is not new. It is the regurgitation. It is the vomiting up of what we have already seen. The recent Supreme Court decision makes it clear that if Congress doesn't establish new federal standards, this nation is headed toward a two-tier voting system that hurts people of color, young people, workers, the disabled, and low-income voters. This is not just a black civil rights issue.
Well,
it is a black civil rights issue, but it's also an issue for everyone who cares about democracy.
That's right.
Everybody who wants a government that serves all of us, who wants freedom and freedom from corporate tyranny. We don't need an insurrection. As Reverend Jackson said, we need a resurrection. This is not a battle against Jim Crow, but modern day James Crow Esquire, who wants to suppress the vote suppress living wages, suppress labor rights, suppress health care, suppress climate justice, suppress immigration reform, suppress Native American justice, and hold on to trickle down and greed economics. That's what this is. And if they are cynical enough to be together, we got to be smart enough to come together.
Wow.
We are facing, finally, interlocking injustices, and we must have an intersectional moral movement to challenge and stop it. What these politicians are doing and what those helping them use to filibuster, whether they're Republicans, extremists, or Democrats, when they do this, whoever they are, whatever party they're in, they are engaging in the kind of bad politics that is morally indefensible, constitutionally inconsistent, economically insane, politically insidious, and in my theological tradition, theologically sinful. We must ask of the question of the labor movement asked in the 1920s, which side are you on?
That's right.
That's the question for Manchin, Sinema, McConnell, everybody. Which side are you on?
That's right.
Are you on the side of the almost exclusively white extremists who have hijacked the Republican Party, who want to rig the election system with voter suppression, block economic uplift for the poor and low wealth? Or are you on the side of justice-loving people of all races who want to expand voting rights and economic uplift and justice to all people? Which side are you on, Senator Manchin and Sinema? Are you on the side of the damn U.S. Chamber of Commerce or the Constitution of these United States of America? Which side are you on? Are you on the side of civil oligarchy that will eventually lead to an autocracy, or are you on the side of the continued promise of a democracy trying to strive toward a more perfect union and a government of the people, for the people, and by the people? Which side are you on? This is not just a black issue. It's about people of color. It's about low wealth people, disabled people, young workers, elderly, women who represent a new American demographic that can elect people who will pass policies that will lift all of America from the bottom up. Racism, media, is one dimension of the battle. And even the race dimension is connected to evil, repressive, greedy economics that hurts all poor people and low wealth people. This battle is against the furtherance of an already growing civil oligarchy. The GOP extremists, Bishop, they want just a black-white fight. Yes, sir. They want just a voter ID fight. And we will not give it to them.
That's right.
This is why this fusion coalition, led by impacted poor and low wealth people of every race, creed, and color, religious and moral leaders, voting rights lawyers, and labor people, are engaging and escalating. And we're saying by the 56th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, pass in filibuster. Pass the full For the People's Act. Pass the full Voting Rights Act. And pass $15 a minimum wage. And don't tell us you can't do all of this. You must do all of this for the soul and the heart of this democracy. There is not time for any more compromise and capitulation. What we need is political courage.
All right now. All right.
Let me turn over to Ms. Roz Pelles, who's going to tell us about next week's nonviolent action, and then the Reverend Dr. Alvin Jackson will bring on the other speakers.
More MIP after this message.
Good afternoon. This is a time for a season of moral direct action. This is necessary to preserving and ensuring the most basic rights that we have and have fought for in this country. A significant season of direct action will be the Women's Moral March on Washington on July 19th.
That's right.
Women will gather and call out the immoral acts of Congress. We will call for an end to the filibuster, and we will demand the full restoration and expansion of voting rights and living wages for all people. Women in this country, especially poor women, are disproportionately impacted by the filibuster that blocks the way to legislation that could and would make the lives of women all that it could be and all it could be for the country. The attacks on voting rights denies women a voice in democracy. And the attacks on poor women in terms of work, it's clear that there's a disproportionate amount of the pain and the brunt that goes to women of color, poor women, and LGBTQ women around work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Women are demanding the end to the filibuster, the restoration, expansion of voting rights, and decent wages.
Yes.
On July 19th, 100 women will raise these demands. The action comes on the anniversary of the Seneca Falls Convention. At that convention, 173 years ago, women demanded social justice, the right to participate in democracy, and the right to economic security. Unfortunately, today, these are still our demands. In the spirit of the Seneca Falls Convention and the concrete conditions of today, we will take to the streets with these demands. We will march on Washington.
Yes.
That's right.
On that day, 100 women representing millions of women across this country will gather. We will make our voices heard. These women will be joined by others, men and women, who will stand and witness to the actions they did in Seneca Falls.
Yeah.
Again, drawing on the spirit of the Convention of 1848, where 100 people signed the Declaration of Sentiments, which summed up their demands, the women taking the demands on the 19th will release our own set of demands, our demands of today. This, however, will be more than a statement. It will be a commitment to the struggle for democracy, equality, and economic justice for women and for all people. This statement in action will be a reminder to all those who stand on the wrong side of history that you will not and cannot prevail. It will declare that women joining hands with others will continue our struggle for rights. It will say to those who seek to block progress and attack democracy that the women are coming. The women are coming. The women are coming to Washington, D.C., and the women are coming to your states across this country. On July 19th, women will take action in Washington. We will continue with our struggle together with all people who stand on the right side of history, and will seek to make real the promise of this country. From this day forward, we will go forward together and join hands and not take one step back.
That's right.
That's right. Yes.
More MIP after this message.
Thank you, Attorney Roz.
Forward together.
Forward together.
Let's move that one out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Attorney Roz. I'm Alvin Jackson again from the Poor People's Campaign. I stand here today not only with the Poor People's Campaign, but I stand on behalf of President Jim Winkler of the National Council of Churches, some 39 member denominations and religious bodies across the length and breadth of this country. He could not be here today, but he is with us totally and fully, will be with us on August 2nd as we engage in nonviolent direct action. So we're grateful for the support of the National Council of Churches. We've heard speeches, 39 bodies. 39 bodies of the National Council of Churches. We've had Dr. Barber and Attorney Roz to speak. Now we have a number of folks who are going to come and make statements, 1-minute statements about who they are and why they're here, and then we'll be open for questions. Dr. Barber will lead in that, questions from the media. First, Linnell H from the Maryland Poor People's Campaign, Reverend Leo from the Poor People's Campaign, Attorney Barbara Arwine from Transformative Justice Coalition, Ezra Levin from Indivisible, Reverend Jimmy Hawkins from the Presbyterian Church USA, Bishop Tavis Grant from the Rainbow Push Coalition, the Reverend Abi Jamachi from the Maryland Poor People's Campaign, and Sister Jean Sorkin from the Sisters of Mary, and Phyllis Bennis from IPS. So they will come in that order and make their statements. First, Linnell Fall, why don't you come? Linnell?
Greetings, everyone. I'm Linnell Stokes Fall from Baltimore, Maryland. All right, where the great late Elijah Cummings resided. I'm a proud member of the Poor People's Campaign.
That's right. That's right.
No one should ever go through what I experienced. I survived COVID with pneumonia. I hurt like hell. My body burns. Medicaid won't pay for the non-invasive therapy to deal with the cells attacking my body. They forced me to use the most radical, aggressive therapy that exposes my entire body. I blister, I bleed. It is horrible. I lost my job. I lost my insurance. I lost my health care. It is simply evil that health insurance is tied to a job in the richest nation in the world. So why is this happening to people like me?
Teach us, sister. Teach us.
Or anyone in this country? We have health care system built to violate and ignore poor people. It is violence. This is why we need a season of non-violent, moral, direct action now to battle this violence with non-violence.
That's right. That's right.
They know sick people vote less. They know that sick people won't vote less. They want us sick.
That's right.
Denial of health care, poverty is voter suppression.
That's right.
So we have to fight for voting rights now. Vote, people, vote.
Yes.
As they say, black people, poor people, white people, indigenous people, people who didn't get a right to vote by voting. We didn't get that right by writing letters or tweeting on Twitter.
That's right.
We didn't get that vote by asking politely.
That's right.
Hell, no one gave us the right in the first place.
That's right.
God gave us the right. But folks didn't recognize our rights to vote because we just asked nicely. We fought for it in a nonviolent way that changed the world. And if that's how we gotta right the vote, then it looks like it's what we're gonna have to do to keep the right vote and keep us voting.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I'm joining this season of nonviolent moral direct action. We have the Senate warning today, but we're coming back next week.
That's right.
And we won't be asking nicely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linnell.
All right.
Thank you, Linnell.
The man.
Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. Please remember to listen, like, and wherever you get your podcasts, please give the show a 5-star rating. And please do spread the word. Let's all continue to pray for each other during this pandemic and this police-demic. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.